Yo, we back, man. 2 weeks, just about 2 weeks. I'm back. I'm back from vacation. Uh, don't listen to anything you read from Lido online. I barely want to speak that brother by name. You know what I'm saying? Just don't listen. Nothing he said about you while I was in Miami. First show back since Pelican Spaces. So I got a little bit. You seen the title? There is something that I want to dive into about the next possible spaces upcoming, but got my dog, Coach Mike Cyprien here. As far as I'm concerned, New Orleans legend, now currently in Georgia. Brother, how you doing, man?
Can't complain. Can't complain, man. It's been a while, but it's good to be back. I'm always listening and watching y'all. So I'm never too far away from y'all.
That's love, man. So, yo, man, we're gonna get into the next possible Pelican spaces. We're gonna talk some summer league. We're gonna talk my favorite part of the show. We're gonna dive into basketball traits and attributes. And Mike, coach, he about to get in his bag and start talking all these phrases and basketball words and know-hows that's gonna be new to me. That's when he really feeling the conversation. He started talking about slip screens and and drag cuts and floppy sets, and you got to really be. But let's get in the show. 1 second.
You must know that first. Can't nothing and nobody fade what we trying to do and what we about to do. Second thing is, we got this game on our level. You understand what I'm saying?
Shout out to Baby. Shout out to Bird, man. So yeah, man, we here. I dive right into it. Last in space that I did was a really fun one. I think a important one in the content world, at least when we talking New Orleans and player involvement. We talking strictly with fans, content creators, media. Just I can't say enough about what Larry Nance, Trey Murphy, and CJ McCollum did. They weren't necessarily the first, and of course, it wasn't Larry Nance's first time connecting with the people, man. But it was really dope to see that, and the show did really well. So if anybody that's tuning in now, gotta let y'all know that will not be the last show. I think maybe around August, me and Larry gonna connect again. He mentioned doing one, maybe two before the season actually starts, and just keeping people updated and connecting with the people and answering questions. And who knows who might be on them next time. So shout out to all y'all that pulled up, man. That was dope, and it was a fun time. But since then, there's I won't say a lot, but there's a few things that have transpired and related to the Pelicans, and we got to dive into it. So once again, I got my dog, Coach Mike Cyprien, founder of Film Don't Lie. You see the merch up there. Skill development, trainer, advisor, mentor, you call it. You name it. He pretty much has been on top of it now, man. So, some league. So, Coach, when we watch these games, and of course the Pelicans are now record-wise, they're 1-1. They've played 2 games. The third game will be later on today. By the time the show comes out, I think the Pelicans will have already completed the game. But they played 2 games, and we got a chance to key in on some individuals that should have roles, or at least one player that we know will have a role if healthy once the season starts for New Orleans. But players aside, because we on social media, we see all the different reactions to what fans and media and just observers are keying in on when they're watching these games, and everybody's experience isn't the same. Some are treating it like it's a regular season game. Mm-hmm. Some are trying to see how a player that they may be invested in or maybe not believe in has improved, or maybe have they taken the lessons from their first year, or if they just got drafted, what does it actually finally look like in something related to a Pelicans jersey? So you see some things that are a little wild, it's comments that are wild. You see things that are maybe kind of in the middle, and some that may be right on the, I guess, the point and what we want to and what you want to see. But I want to ask you from a scouting perspective, as a coach, as just a watcher, when you watch these games, and we're gonna get into the players, and mainly the ones that we believe, or that most believe, will have an opportunity to have actual minutes once October rolls around, roughly. What is it that you look at when you watch these players in these kind of games?
A lot of what I watch, me personally, I watch since I do some freelance stuff, and I've tapped back in with the grassroots level since I moved out here to Georgia, because Cobb County, I've seen a lot of former college coaching colleagues at some of these high school events I've gone to. And, I've had a couple people like, look, man, Cobb County, you're in the right place for basketball, talent all around. So now I usually watch summer league so I can see, what players are coming from, what level they played at. So I can just start to letting some of these young boys know, and whether it be college or high school, know that there may be an opportunity for you, but this guy has to take this role. This guy has to take that role. For instance, Caleb Daniels, who's playing with Miami, I was able to get in the gym with him a good bit when he was at Tulane, and then when he was making the transition to Villanova. And I've been knowing, my parents know his parents, and I've been knowing his dad for a long, long time. Just leaning on some of the stuff I worked on with him, and then watching his progression from when I met him until now. The next crop of kids that I take on, I'm always, letting those kids know that what a kid like him went through when I first met him, his transition. Frank Bartley, I didn't work with Frank, but I recruited Frank, so I watched him a lot when he was at Christian Life Academy in Baton Rouge. We recruited him, just to watch, players like him, go through the process and get to this point. So when I'm training kids, entering high school, maybe in high school, I can kind of let them know, like, I trained that young fella when he was you at one point. And this is the type of stuff that we talked about. This is where he was at that point. And this is how he got to this point, to where he actually have opportunity to play on it, whether it be G League or main roster, whatever have you. This is what he did to get to this point. So when I'm watching the summer league, it's a lot for us, for evaluation purposes. I do watch some of the stuff, some of the actions that they run. Watching the forwards are doing certain actions, or watching the guards doing certain actions. I'm not really scouting summer league guys. It's just helping me in my, my, I guess, preliminary evaluation for anybody else that's coming through the pipeline who agents may ask me to put eyes on. So I'm like, all right, well, he reminds me of this dude who plays with the Pelicans Summer League. He reminds me of that guy who I've seen play with the Hornets Summer League roster. So it may help in that aspect, but a lot of it I watch just so I can, start telling the next batch of kids, this dude was averaged 17 a game at Nova, and he's fighting for a training league spot. So if you think you remanded, you got to figure it out. You don't have it figured out. There's a lot of dudes like you that came from where you come from that's in the summer league, that may not even make it past the summer league on the NBA roster. So you just got to keep working at it.
So, Coach, what in a lot of high pace, you got so many guys that haven't played more than a practice or two together. So many individuals that will be playing overseas. You got a small percentage of guys that you're watching game to game that will be playing, or that you expect to play once the actual season starts. Of course, you have all the rookies from this class. You got, you have individuals that from previous draft classes that you want to see how they've improved to the game. What do you think? Can you give me some examples of things that you think do translate once? And it could simply be from a confidence perspective, but what do you think maybe does translate from these style of games to actual NBA basketball down the line, if anything?
The ability to catch and shoot, because that doesn't matter what what environment you're playing in. If you can catch and shoot, you can catch and shoot, period. And you'll always give yourself a chance. Passing the ball in these environments are if you can show that you can pass, and like you said, you played limited amount of practices with a certain group of guys, and you can still find ways to get certain guys the ball, that means you're figuring it out on the fly. You're figuring out, oh, well, Chris has hit 2 threes in that spot, so clearly he can shoot from that spot. So next time I see Chris in that spot, I'm going to hit it. So when you pick up on guys, when you play making in these types of environments, that means you're picking up on stuff, picking up on tendencies fast. And that's an impressive thing to be able to do with guys you barely know. Because those summer league practices, I mean, I know they do off-site practices and stuff like that, but that's only for a few weeks. And then you have some guys who may get traded who can't practice, and then they may only have 1 or 2 practices with the team that they get traded to. So they really don't know anybody. So catching and shooting is one thing that you can that goes with you from place to place. Defensive tendencies, a lot of defense is kind of universal. I know there's some NBA concepts that players struggle with because rotations are different. In college, there's no 3-second in the lane on defense, so you can just sit in the paint. So that's different. That's something for bigs to learn. That's something for perimeter players to learn. Obviously, having to get out of the lane when they're help, stuff like that. But I do think that on-ball defense, that's something that no matter what environment you're in, you can bring that wherever. Rebounding, having a high motor. Those 3 things, in my opinion, are things that no matter who you're on the court with for any amount of time, if you can do those 3 things at a decent clip, then you put yourself in a good chance, especially in the summer league. Somebody who may not be known by a lot of people. If you're a forward and you can rebound outside your area, you got a high motor, you pursue the basketball, you got timing, timing on shot blocks, and you can catch and finish, you give yourself a chance. Oh, by the way, if you can hit a trail jump shot, you're definitely going to give yourself a chance. Whereas if you're a guard and you're not known as a handler, but you handle it well enough to be able to get to your spot and get your shot off and make the shot, or, find somebody, then all of a sudden you give yourself a chance. And not to mention if you can rebound from the guard spot. And again, like we mentioned earlier, being able to defend the ball, defend on the rock. That's something, those things are something that, again, whether you're at the playground, whether you're in rec, whether you're LA Fitness or in Summer League, if you can do those 3 things, it doesn't matter who's playing with you, because you can bring some kind of value to whatever gym space you're in.
Yeah. So that leads us to the players that we're kind of keying in on, right? Watching this Pelican Summer League team. Sure, I mean, there were guys like Carlo Sebron, and you got Landon Nolly as well, that you're interested to see what they can do from some respects, because whether it's a 2-way option or whether it's a break the emergency case type of situation where you may have to call on one of these guys, or in Carlos' case, there were some that was interested to see him having maybe a dominant summer league could bode well for him being a part of the Pelicans roster and someone at the being an answer at the center position, maybe not necessarily a starter, but someone that you could look to have a chance to really compete for minutes and kind of solve what the Pelicans have been trying to figure out since David Griffin arrived, right? Hell, even before that, you know what I'm saying? Since the minute DeMarcus Cousins went down, have been trying to figure out
the league at that spot, boy.
Yeah. And no disrespect to Anthony Davis. I mean, it just like that. Y'all know what I mean. But the players that we're talking about here, Dyson Daniels, Jordan Hawkins, and EJ Liddell. Those are the players. EJ just signed him. A little bit of an extension, I think, 3 years.
3 years,
Jordan Hawkins was drafted recently here, and Dyson Daniels was the number 8 pick in the previous draft. So let's start with Jordan Hawkins. You and I have had we've had a lot of different correspondence about the things that we like from Jordan Hawkins and how we think it could translate. And the first thing that you said when I asked you about things that could translate, you said the ability to shoot. You said catching and shooting. Well, Hawkins may have been the best shooter in the draft, right? And in both summer league games, just out the gate, he's shooting. There's no hesitation where he's going, and it's not like he's shooting the ball well from three right now, right? In either of the games, he hasn't really gotten into a hot streak yet. But one of the things that really impressed me, Coach, is that everything looks practiced millions and millions of times.
Yep.
He knows nothing looks awkward in regards to what he knows he can do.
Yep.
The spots he likes, he's going to get them. He's finishing around the rim, looking to finish around the rim. He ain't dunking on nobody, but we've seen baseline reverses. We've seen him get to the line a few times. We've seen mid-range shooters. We've seen one step dribbles as he ran off the 3-point line into mid-range shots. And the attempts are there no matter what he's doing, and the jumper looks. There's nothing wrong with the jumper, right? Everything is there. Everything fits, I think, what you want to see. And it's just a matter of time, right? I mean, there are looks that you want him to continue to attempt. But one of the things I notice about him is that, for me, I look at a player's like a shooter's legs, right? I want to see where their feet land. And consistently, no matter where they're at, I think of a guy like, you remember when Devontae Graham was in New Orleans, there wasn't no telling where his feet would land, but Hawkins, you can tell, has worked a lot in regards to
balance,
balance to where he can shoot. It allows him to shoot on the run. It allows him to shoot on the move. It allows him to shoot off the dribble. It may not be 2 or 3 dribbles, but maybe 1 or 2 into a pull-up, and the feet are the same every time. The mechanics stay consistent. Because, those are the things he's going to be asked to do if he's actually playing minutes once the season starts. What do you think about what you've seen with Jordan Hawkins, and what are you impressed by?
Well, one is we talk about his ability to put the ball on the floor and score in that aspect, and you don't associate that a lot with shooters, with guys you consider sharpshooters. Maybe 1-2 dribbles to escape somebody closing out to him hard and get a pull up. From time to time, maybe get all the way to the cup. But he's shown some flashes of being able to create. Now I don't know how many opportunities he'll get over the next 3 years to get in his ISO bag, but I don't think that he'll necessarily have to do that because he does a lot of his work without the rock in his hands. Leads me to my next point, is the movement shooting. And I think, obviously that term movement shooter has been popular over the last 3 or 4 years.
What does it mean? What does it mean, Coach, to be a movement shooter? What does it actually mean for those that either think they know or just go along with the program and don't actually know 100%? What does that mean?
So in my opinion, it's not, just coming off your typical pin downs, flare screens, baseline staggers, or your floppy actions. Because those are some of the screens you learn to come off of when you first start learning how to come off screens. A pin down is the first screen you taught, or a flare screen is the second screen you taught a lot of times. But when I think movement shooting is, all right, Chris, you set a pin down for me. I come off your pin down. I don't have anything immediately. When I catch the ball, I know I don't have anything. I'm getting right off the ball and I'm continuing my next path. And whether that's coming right off of a flare from you, or I'm setting the screen on you and my man's got to help, and now I'll open myself up for a clean look, or if I go off another pin down on the other side of the court and I don't have anything, so I curl that screen and I come off your screen again on the other side. That type of movement is something that makes not only you hard to defend, but it's hard to switch on those types of movements. And by no means am I comparing them to Steph or anybody for that matter. But that's what makes Steph so hard to guard, because he's the one that started the whole, all right, Steph Curry will drive baseline, and when you drive baseline, you hit the guy in the corner. A lot of times when I was in school and when I first started coaching, people would drive and hit that baseline. drive the baseline and hit the guy in the corner, and they would come out the same side they just drove it from. Well, Steph and guys like him now said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit the baseline, and I'm going to continue to find my way towards the basketball. So when my man decides to relax or thinks I'm coming out the same side, now I'm taking off like a bat out of hell to the wing. Now all of a sudden, when I catch in the corner, I pass right back to the guy who just passed it to me because who's open? And it's not just screen to screener, or set a screen for Chris. My man has to help, and now I'm coming wide open off somebody else's screen. So you start to see, I saw it when I was watching Hawkins UConn film. They would start this dude like way at the timeline, above the break, hit the corner, he comes off a shuffle cut or back screen, and he takes his long looping cut along the baseline, and then curls it, comes off 2 staggers on the other side, catches it, nothing, comes off a flare screen, and it comes right back off a pin down.
Crazy.
That's movement. All of that, and he's doing all of that movement. Him and guys like that are doing all of that movement, and they might not even get a clean look. But you've involved everybody on your team. You've created shots for teammates because that creates slips, pick and pop, pick and slip. And of course, if you curl and somebody else, man, got to help, now you can pop out and you just throw a pass to them. So you're creating hard switches. It's hard to switch that, and it's creating easy looks for teammates. Not just like I told you, we texted about it. Imagine if that's Zion setting the pin down for him. What are you going to do? Especially if he's hit 3 or 4 threes in a row. What are you going to do? Yeah. What are you going to do if it's Brandon Ingram and Zion setting stagger screens for him? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? So it just that type of movement, man, makes him hard to guard, but it just creates so many more creases and stuff. We're not even talking about the guy with the ball.
Right.
All of the action is everybody's like pointing to where Hawkins is coming from. That the ball handlers, he's got an extra lane because everybody's worried about the shooter coming off all of these actions.
Yeah, because I think what it does is that it makes it's hard to prepare for that because there's a level of unpredictability that's involved when you have someone like that to where you can't predict where he's gonna land, where he's gonna finish. And even if you are a really good individual defender, movement shooters means that everybody, really good movement shooters, they're able to manipulate standstill defenders. They're able to, to manipulate from different sides of the floor to where they'll find the individual or the space that they want to get. But if you for 1 second, even if let's say I'm doing my role, everybody has to be locked in because one person that gets caught, whether it be in space or gets caught gambling or isn't attached to the right assignment or playing, going under the screen, whatever the case. Like we see it from Golden State all the time. You'll see a play that takes 20 seconds that has so many different options to them, and some of the times they make the options up on the fly. But they've been playing for so long together. They've been playing for so long together that it's just it's timeless. It's chemistry based. And 9 times out of 10, at worst, they're going to end up with a good shot or a shot that they like, that they practice over and over and over and over again. And that's the fun, I think, in guys like Hawkins that have that level of conditioning and that level of just fundamentals and being able to shoot off angles, off the catch, one dribble, behind the screen, off the side of the screen.
Yep.
I think that you saw so many playoff teams from this past year that had at least one or multiple guys that even if they are, regardless of what Hawkins ends up being, they had a guy that had that, a similar type of skill set to which they could just put in their offense. And that, at that point, man, it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to adjust to, especially when you're dealing with talents. That's outside of talking about with Zion, because at some point, and I watched Golden State do this with Sacramento. Like Kevin Huerter had a fantastic regular season, but in the playoffs, they had to give up something.
Yeah.
they realized that they had to give up something. And if that meant forcing Kevin Huerter to be the one to shoot versus giving up easy paint looks or giving up dribble drives or penetration, that's just what they were going to have to give up. But, they're not put in that situation if Sacramento doesn't at least have one or two of those options. And the same thing with Keegan Murray when he was in the game. Exactly. So it's a tool that I think you have to that every winning team has to have. The Nuggets have a couple. It's something that
no, we have.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how it plays out. So that's a good talk. We're gonna make a clip out of that, though. That's basketball Bible talk right there, brother. Dyson Daniels. I might have to call myself a Dyson stan at some point. I'm a Dyson supporter, But yo, man, I'm a believer in the brother's abilities, and I think that even if he doesn't develop in the ways that some wish he would, or if he never becomes the offensive player that some would like to see, I think he's going to be a hell of a fit and a hell of a basketball player in this league for a long time. And curious on your thoughts, man. I look at a dude that's a plus rebounder. I look at a dude that's going to defend at a high level. A dude that defends, like I could watch Dyson defend players in transition or someone attacking him downhill in space all day. He uses his body, he uses his balance very well, knows when to use his hands, and you'll see him with some of the better timely turnovers that you can really find, whether it be by blocks, whether it be, and not just weak side blocks, and not blocks in which the ball has been in the air for a certain period of time and he's just being an athlete. No, he's catching the ball. I mean, the ball may in some cases have been barely released, and you'll see ripaways. He just he understands tendencies of basketball players really quickly defensively. And I think, man, that's going to translate. I think a lot of it is going to be dependent, and for what most folks I think are going to have to see is that his impact is going to be able to be seen the most right now at his current age and set up with good basketball players. Yep. Like I think he can raise guys around him in those kind of setup situations. And he has to be healthy as well, which I think the guy for at least a month last year was able to do that. The defense will be there. The rebounding will be there. The shooting may take some time. It's going to be streaky. But at least in these first two games, I like the fact that, look, bro, I was telling somebody yesterday on the radio, Cole, I said, if Dyson Daniels has to take 20 shots in the game, it's not a good basketball team.
Exactly.
I don't care how good he is. I don't care if he was really good offensively. You're not going to be in a good position if he's having to shoot the ball a bunch of times anyway. Yep, so
I agree.
I focus on what he's able to do right now, and I think I'm looking at someone who's going to be a really good defender on ball. I love watching him off ball, and someone offensively who's well-rounded, can do a little bit of everything. Maybe a better passer than passing may be his best overall trait, but I don't think he's as bad of a shooter as some may rate him. I don't think he's that bad of a dribbler or even that bad of a finisher. I think some of it is just mental and confidence. And hopefully if he's able to stay healthy and not have any more ankle problems that separate him from the game in minutes, I think he'll get better and better. What have you seen from him early on? What have you been looking for? And what are you looking to see? As he's supposed to play a lot of minutes until the Pelicans are officially done with Summer League.
Well, not only it's not only on Dice to stay healthy, but it's on the dudes who he's an alleviator, if that makes sense. Like there's guys on the floor that can't defend at a high clip. Well, he alleviates the pressure off of those guys who can't defend. You got a bunch of high usage guys on the floor, ISO heavy dudes. Well, he alleviates the pressure of them having to pass, or you need somebody on the floor who doesn't need the rock in their hands.
Yeah.
And that only works if the guys or on the floor for him to alleviate. Dyson is only going to look. I don't want to say bad, but he's only going to look disappointing if the guys that he's supposed to be fitting in next to aren't healthy. We all said it, and I just think a lot of the criticism are relative to where he got picked at. And somebody told me last night, the number 8 pick in recent history hadn't really just produced a bunch of Hall of Famers for what it's worth, which made a lot of sense. Now I saw the list. I can't remember all the names, but it was a lot of names of people who probably everybody thought that, oh, this guy's gonna be a Hall of Famer, multiple-time All-Star, and I think only one person on that list is made an All-Star team and is like actually a rotational piece. So him being taken 8, I think, is the reason why a lot of people are like, yo, why is this man not averaging 12 points a game? Why is his jump shot not where it's supposed to be? Why is this, why are we only getting defense from him? And the top 5 hype on him coming into draft hype coming into his draft didn't help either. But again, you drafted him to be next to all-stars consistently. Think about, he probably wasn't able to play many minutes last season, but he was thrust into a situation that he wasn't drafted to be in. Me, when I watch him in the summer league, if he's driving closeouts and finishing consistently, I'm watching that, because when he's playing with BI and Zion, CJ, JV, if he's here, he's gonna be driving closeouts because those guys are gonna pull help. If he's catching and shooting confidently and consistently, and we're seeing improvements, that's what I'm watching. I'm not watching, like you said, I don't want to see Dyson take 20 attempts to show me he's aggressive, because that's not going to translate to, next January or February. You know what I mean? I'm watching him perform stuff or do things that I think he'll be doing when the regular season starts, when he's getting the minutes that he's getting, which is drive closeouts based off other guys' help, catch and shoot because he's going to be left. If the other guys are healthy, he's going to have to knock down open shots, catch and finish, because that's one thing that I thought he struggled with, was finishing at the basket. I do think he's a good passer. He's a good next pass guy, hockey assist dude, connector, if you will. But again, that's going to all come off of Brandon and Zion and CJ being on the floor, because they're going to draw the need for him to make the next pass. Somebody rotates and Trey's open, Dyson is smart enough to know, like, I'm open for a reason. They don't want to leave Trey. Let me swing it to him. So I'm watching that, because I'm watching for what Dyson will be doing. I'm not watching to see him getting his ISO back, because that's not why he was drafted to play with the Pelicans. That's just, so I like what I see from him. I mean, if you want to say you like his aggression, fine. But some of the looks and opportunities he's getting now won't be the looks and opportunities he'll get barring help for a full season, because he may come down and initiate a set, but he won't touch the ball until that's 7 seconds of the shot clock, and that's on the kickout. Yeah. That's on a dribble drive, penetrating pitch, or if Zion or BI, draws 2 or 3, and he just got to have his hands ready to catch and shoot. So if I see him knocking down open jump shots consistently, great. If I see him, driving closeouts, great. If I see him, making that catch one more kick, great. Because those are things that I know that he's going to be doing when the max contract guys on the floor with him. Not some dudes that either may not make it to training camp, may not, get a contract, any of that, because that's not who he's going to be playing with.
Yeah, I think, if I'm Dyson, the person that I'd be looking at, I'd be looking at Herb Jones's best offensive games, and watch what worked for him there, which is simply just taking advantage of playing with high talented players, right? And are requiring 2, 3, 4, in Zion's case, 5.
The whole team.
Right. Everyone's attention as soon as they have the basketball in their hands. TJ McCullough, like, playing with those individuals that require and garner so much attention from defenses, it's really, man, sometimes the job, the bed is made for you. Yep. So you look at Herb and you look at Najee, right? I think Najee's the thing that's going to keep Najee, I think, in the league for a long time. in this period of simply playing for the Pelicans. Even if he's not the most athletic, even if he's not the greatest of shooters, Najee's another example of a guy that when teams break down, while he had some positive and some really good stretches, when rosters and health breaks down, like he's a role player, right? So he can only lift so much, but it's the mentality involved. I mean, one thing Najee's going to do, regardless of who's on the floor, is that he takes advantage of space. He takes advantage of matchups. He takes advantage of what's being offered to him. And sometimes most nights if this team is healthy, you can walk into 10 points.
Yep.
If you're a role player, if you're playing with talented guys, just simply not being afraid to take advantage of what's given to you. I mean, of teams just ignoring you, whether it's by choice or them just simply forgetting about you. And I think if Dyson does that even a few times a night with what you mentioned about his passing, I think he's gonna be a plus transition player, especially if he continues to rebound the way that he is.
I agree.
He's basketball. He's unselfish. He knows his role. We're talking about a glue guy in a lot of ways, right?
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Yes. If he's able to do that, we know the defense is going to be there. The shooting will be there some nights, and some nights it won't be. But if he's able to simply take advantage of what's being offered to him, most nights the world is going to be his once the ball is once the ball is kicked over to him, I think you're looking at a successful turnout. So we'll see how that works. But I like what I've seen so far from him as well. And we'll close with EJ Liddell, man. It's been a quiet start for EJ, right? And I mean, look, coming off of the injury that he had a year ago in this same format in summer league, it could be a lot of things going on with him right now, from rust to confidence to confidence, to just trying to find his way and where he's going to fit. And I had someone tell me the other day, Coach, I'm curious what you think. They say, unless you are a top prospect, being a big man in summer league is one of the worst positions that you can be, because nobody's trying to pass you the ball.
Never touch the rock.
You're going to be made up. You got guys that's fighting for their careers, and those guards are going to put up shots, and there'll be a lot of bad ones. So you kind of just gotta get yours where you can. And for EJ right now, he hasn't had a whole bunch of opportunities, still trying to find his way. I still think he has some things that this team will be able to use as we get to really see him more and be in more of a professional setting. I think being around actual good basketball players and the team that we think we will see most of the parts come preseason, I think you really get an opportunity there to see what EJ can and can't do. But the players have had a lot of positive things to say about him. I don't think that that's by surprise or mistake. We just haven't been able to really see much of it here in this format. I don't know how it will translate going forward, if it will. But not what have you seen? I mean, even if you go back to his days at Ohio State, what are you looking to see from EJ in these final games of summer league?
If he's not going to touch the rock, and I think he's got a pretty good motor. His way of generating his own touches is going to be through the glass. Defensive rebounds and bringing the ball up the floor, offensive rebounds and getting extra possessions. I think depends on who he's setting screens for. Like, he screens for Dyson will pass. He screens for Cyprien, may not get it. If I were him, I would try to set as many screens for Hawkins as I could, because again, we talked about Hawkins' movement. Somebody's got to help, and your man's gonna help. So somebody's gonna be open. It's just as far as just thinking of ways for him to get himself some touches, and not. Obviously, that's going to be by design. Also, I think that what he may wind up being is Larry Nance light. I don't know. He's not the athlete that Larry is, but he's got big time wingspan. He's a pretty good athlete. but I just think that he's one of those dudes that'll create extra possessions, but has a good enough IQ to get other guys buckets. You know, he sets the right screens, he makes the right pass, shoots it well enough to where you have to honor it. I saw him had a couple nice drives, in traffic finishes. So some offensive skill is there. But again, like you say, he just doesn't have as many opportunities. And the part that stinks is he may not get very many the rest of the summer league. And that's fine, because again, if he gets minutes on the floor this upcoming season, in the regular season, he's not gonna get many opportunities anyway. So he's got to figure out a way, like, all right, well, I got to be in the dunker spot, because when Zion's driving the paint, he's either dumping it down or he's lobbing it up. Or, you know, if somebody reverses the ball to me and CJ's on the opposite side, and I got to bring that ball to him, I either got to dribble handoff, pitch it and chase it with a ball screen. Now I can slip it, then I can get a basket, or throw CJ back door. So,
yeah,
you know, he'll have to perform those types of actions, and it's hard to do that in the summer league, because again, like you talked about, those dudes are trying to, like, not only prove to the Pelicans that they should get a roster spot, or at least invite the training camp, rather, they're showcasing their talents for other teams around the league, G League teams, and overseas, big time overseas teams who come in, get the ones that fall through the cracks. So it's going to be hard for him to perform those actions, because somebody may not even reverse the ball to him if he's wide open.
Exactly.
You know, he may dribble at somebody on the wing, and he may say the back door is open, and he'll throw a back door pass, but that other person may want to dribble handoff. So that's a turnover on him, but you can tell what ideas forming in his head. So it's just a matter of him, like we talked about with Dyson. If you put some people around him who are skilled, who are, more talented players, they'll look good. They'll fit in a little bit better. You can kind of start seeing, that's a good idea. You know, it'll be a seamless transition. I think he's got a high enough IQ where he'll find himself on the floor. I don't know how much he'll play this season. He might wind up playing out of necessity, because who knows what's going on at the forward spot. But if he's going to generate some opportunities for himself in the summer league, it's got to be through the glass. He's got to. That's the only time he can know that I'm touching the rock, because when I get a rebound, or if I'm screening for Jordan, Hawkins, or Dyson, because those two guys are unselfish.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's a really good point you made about, maybe this setup of him not having opportunities is probably what's best for him anyway, because, if he does see minutes in the fall, he won't have them then, anyway. So yes, I mean, find out, and that's what you want to see out of any basketball player. Like, how else can you impact the game when the ball isn't in your hands, right? Do you do it by passing? Do you do it by screening? Do you, are you a good teammate? Do you have good body language? Do you choose to rebound? Are you a good, not just an individual defender, a good help defender? Are you always where you are supposed to be? Sometimes just having the know-how, having the IQ to be in the right spots, can serve you well, especially on the floor. And definitely in these kind of setups where honestly, there's just not a ton of high level IQ basketball. Yeah, it just kind of is what it is. But really look forward to seeing how these guys finish the summer league. Going forward, and I mean, starting with game 3 tonight. Coach, man, this was fun, man. I'm glad you got your setup, though. I've been waiting. I'm glad, you got the setup, you got the Jimi Hendrix in the background. You know what I mean?
I represent the NCAA tournament team that I played on.
Exactly. I see the Chicago Regional behind you, man. So I appreciate you as always. We gonna connect more and more as the season inches closer. Tell the people where they can find you at, Coach. What you working on? What's the next video that you're putting together? I know you do a lot of work on Instagram. You bring it over to Twitter. And it makes, if you guys aren't tapped in, man, Mike will make you smarter, and he'll help you understand the game and explain it in a way that even a child could. It's childproof. He'll explain it where when you're done watching the video, you feel smart, and you'll be able to use some of these terms. The next time you hear him, be like, "Damn, I just heard somebody. Oh, that was Coach that said that." It works out.
Well, shameless plug. Find me Formula Live Hoops at FDL Hoops on Instagram. That's where a lot of the breakdowns and stuff I do. Now that I'm back, now that I'm set up, I got my little office space and stuff. Next thing I'm working on, I went to the Under Armour finals out here in Lake Point. It's like 30 minutes north of here. Real good facility, and I got to see a couple kids that's playing in overtime elite. Couple real good Canadian kids from Canada, real good actually. We'll put some information together on them because I had a couple agents ask me what I saw and what I liked. Got to connect with a scout, an NBA scout who was a family friend, and chop it over with him. The next video I may do, because I make sure I show the WNBA some love too. I got to give BG, I got to give Brittany Griner some love here real soon. She caught a body the other day, so we got to make sure.
Man, she had a hell of a game the other night. It's the Sparks, I believe. Yeah. So shout out to her, man.
But it's just like I said, I'm doing a lot more grassroots stuff here lately. It's kind of behind the scenes because I have people that's been asking me some for some information, and I'm cultivating some relationships with Overtime Elite. So I just been doing a lot of stuff. Been off the grid as far as that goes. That's kind of priority number one. But BG's up next, and not Baby Gangster, with Brittany Griner.
Gotcha.
And then, but there's gonna be some WNBA stuff until the ladies' season is over with. May do some summer league stuff. The only problem is summer league happening during the day when I'm at work. That's the thing about Vegas. It's basketball all the time, but it's during the day. I can't. And by the time I get home and get little mama down for bed, I'm in her room dozing off. Missing everything. But yeah, man, at FDL Hoops on Instagram and Coach Sip _Nola on Twitter and Instagram. It's a lot of basketball. Sometimes I talk music, but it's mainly basketball. And spending some family in there.
But nah, I got you, man. Appreciate you, Coach, man. As always, we're gonna connect again real soon, brother. Gotta give a shout out to our good people at Burst, our law firm, Jägermeister, as well as the good people at DraftKings. Y'all know the code is BOOT, BOOT. If you have not signed up already, please do go ahead and take that free bet on us, by us. I'll holler at y'all next week. Now that we back on schedule and I am done with Miami, the tan is wearing off. You know what I'm saying? We back to work, man. So I'll holler at y'all soon. Appreciate it as always. And until the end, Najee.
In the building. I told you last time, get with us or get out of here, man.